All right, so welcome everyone. My name is Gergana Strichkova, and I am director of the Bulgarian Fintech Association, as well as part of 11 Ventures team. And for the next roughly 60 minutes, I will be moderating this panel. Now here on this virtual stage, I have with me also Vesi from 11, Ivo from iuvo, Ivo from Reloyalty. So I will be always saying the companies not to make any mistakes. And in theory, Valeri, who just dropped out, but I hope he will join us any second. Now, I have invited you guys because each one of you has, okay, Valeri's here. Valeri, can we hear you now? Still not?
He can text.
Okay. Okay, I have invited all of you for this session because each one of you has a somewhat different aspect on what the fintech sector is in Bulgaria, and not only in Bulgaria, but also in the region. Each of your companies does something slightly different in a different area of the fintech. So I think that bringing you all together, it will create really interesting discussion as to what are the main challenges and what are the main opportunities that arise for the fintech companies right now from the current situation. So before we start, I also want to say a huge thank you to Trending Topics team for this amazing initiative, because it is events like that that push us to think even more into the direction of how to how to turn this situation around and how to look from the perspective of an opportunity rather than short-term fixes. So guys, thank you all for joining me and for being part of this panel. Now, as a beginning, I would ask you to just very briefly introduce yourself in a minute or so, just what you do, what's your experience, and what your companies do, so that the audience knows who they're seeing. So maybe we start with the ladies. Vesi.
Thank you, Gary. Hi everyone, and thanks for this invitation. It's really awesome that you guys, Trending Topics, and the Bulgarian Fintech Association is giving us this platform, this virtual stage, where we could share and experience what we do, because we desperately needed this platform, basically, especially these days. Of course, we could attend webinars and formats like this, but this is really, really valuable to the whole community, I would say. My name is Veselina Markova, and I'm part of the Ventures team, where I'm in charge of the fintech vertical and also of the Visa Innovation Program that we run together with Visa across Southeast Europe. This is a collaborative platform for fintechs, which leverages resources such as investment, mentorship, fintech know-how, and market access for the fintech companies, and supports them basically to grow. We have such platforms in Turkey and Greece as well. And I would say that it's a valued initiative for the companies across the region.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ivo Ivanov.
Hi guys, welcome to everyone. Thanks for the invite from Trending Topics. So I'm Ivaylo, CEO of iuvo. iuvo is a peer-to-peer lending platform. It's one of the biggest in continental Europe already, and I'm going to try to offer an interesting perspective on how this black swan that we're observing the past 2 months has influenced actually the psyche and the actions of European investors.
Okay, thank you. And the other Ivo.
Hi everyone. First of all, I want to second Vesi's words that event like that is very important in the time of global pandemic, which was hitting the world without anybody expecting it. And even though the technology is a little bit shaky, it's really, really good that like a new sort of conference format became the new standard. And it's great. Thanks, Trending Topics. Thanks, obviously, Gary and the Fintech organization. My name is Ivo Vasilev. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Reloyalty. What Reloyalty does, we basically transform any bank card in Europe into a loyalty card by allowing customers to connect their cards, any bank card basically, to our device and shop in the city as they used to, and based on their shopping behavior, because we read transactional data, we can unlock possibilities for rewards for them. And on the other hand, we help merchants of any size basically engage more their customers and understand them and increase revenue. Now with the COVID situation, obviously our market is in lockdown, so we kind of producing new product, which I'll probably tell later about. We want to help the retail sector kind of, deal with this situation because it's unprecedented. And yeah, I'll probably tell more. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, thank you, Ivo. And Valeri, I have this feeling that now we are already connected to you.
Hope so. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfectly, great.
Excellent.
So, okay, so Valeri, I asked everyone to just very briefly introduce themselves with like in 1 minute, what you do, what your experiences are, and what the companies you represent do. So please, up to you.
Okay, thank you first for the invitation to speak at this event, and thanks to Trending Topic for organizing it. I think it's great to be organizing events even though we are in lockdown. Let me go into the details. My name is Valeri Valtchev. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done businesses in 8 sectors, and I've built several market leaders. Now my topic is payments, and I went into payments a few years ago, and I'm building an acquiring and issuing bank, combining it with cards, with bank products, and also with our own rails, with our own ecosystem. But basically, we are doing cross-border issuing and acquiring and e-wallet in the whole of the European Union. We have B2B clients, and we are growing fast. We just completed a round of funding, which is one of the largest rounds of funding in Bulgaria, and we are growing across the whole of the European Union.
Great, thank you, Valeri. I will try to deep dive in like all of the topics that as big topics, new topics that you mentioned later. Quickly mention to the audience, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat and I will try to address them as well. Now, my first more like deep dive into the topic question for all of you guys is how is actually the current situation affecting your operations and your businesses? What has changed and what you like about it as well? So what do you think will stay even after lockdown? And Vesi, maybe you can start.
Okay. You know what? Yesterday I came across something in the social media. This was an essay, a letter or something of the teenage daughter of one Bulgarian actor who said that, basically, Corona, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by, because we as a society basically relearned a lot of things which are fundamental to us as human beings. First of all, we learned how to be more open to the others, how to collaborate, how to cooperate. We learned how to cook at home, if you wish. We learned these fundamental things that make us even better, I would say. We now have even more empathy, more love, if you wish. So again, we are grateful for that. But this is on the positive note. On second thought, we as human beings are suffering a lot of things like hunger and like, layoffs, and something which is pretty dramatic, I would say, and this is the loneliness. And this is not applicable only to me as a person, but this is applicable also to the industry, because what I see is this collective loneliness. This is how I call it in the startup community as well. And one of the proven methods to fight this loneliness is to focus on initiatives which are larger than you, basically, which have larger purpose. And what we see in the community, and not only it's not only related to the fintechs, but also to the startup as a whole, is that there are a lot of initiatives like giving back actions and projects, like charity initiatives, like anti-crisis hackathons, something that made the whole community to think beyond myself or my business, but to think for the community and for the thriving societies as a whole. So I think that there is a positive side and also this, let's say, not a negative side, but it's a kind of new approach to what we do every day. So for us as a venture fund, nothing has dramatically changed, I would say. We are still open to investments. We are still open to discussions with fintechs, and not only with tech companies as a whole. And we do our business as a normal. Of course, there are some slight changes, and it's quite normal for the whole ecosystem to look for more established businesses, for models that are proven. But as a whole, I would say that there is, at least what I see, is a lot of positive signs.
Great, thank you. And that's also a very interesting concept for the collective loneliness. There was a picture that I saw recently and I really liked. So it's social distancing and then cross, and below it's actually physical distancing plus social solidarity. So we see this as a trend as well, which is nice. Ivo, what is Ivo from iuvo? What is your take on that?
Well, definitely the crisis has shook the industry, especially in the field that we operate in. As you can imagine, in such situations, funding is the first thing to dry out. So obviously people are very wary of how they invest, and they definitely prefer to have their cash on hand. This is what we saw also on the capital markets, where indices dropped with like 40-50% for a couple of days. So definitely our new asset class was affected by this rather emotional reaction from all over the spectrum. And it's really interesting to observe. Let me give you a perspective. So we have over 20,000 investors from over 120 countries. So we have practically investments from each and every country in Europe. So we have a very broad observation on their behavior, and we saw a rather rational people that acted irrationally for a very short period of time. And this is a very, very important trait of this situation that we see right now, is that you don't just have a crisis of financial or just a medical perspective. You have a situation that is defined by the unknown, by the fact that nobody knows what to expect. Even you have so many contradicting opinions from stable voices out there, both in the economic field as well as in the medical field. So this puts people in a situation of extreme volatility, especially on emotional level. And I would say that the fundamentals on the market were not that affected as much as people reacted to this unpredictability. and didn't know what to expect. So that's this is the point where I'm rather optimistic, to be honest, because I would say that still I don't believe that the fundamentals have changed that much for these past 2 months. More or less, the productivity of people, the productivity of economics as a whole is still there, and I, for one, would be the one to expect a fast recovery from this.
Okay, thank you. And Ivo Vasilev?
Yeah, so there are quite a few things that I agree with that have already been mentioned. Obviously, there are goods and bad sides of every coin. In this situation, obviously, I agree with Vesi. There are a lot of these emotional things that are happening right now, like distancing and people kind of detaching from themselves. There is probably a little bit of increase of productivity, in my opinion, because obviously for startup companies, for us, it was very easy to kind of move online, move remote. We kind of had already work with that way. So it was like a really big shift, which makes us quite productive in a sense that like we just jump and do the things that we need to do and do a couple of meetings daily. But then you realize that in work, there is not only the tasks that you do, there is these interactions with the team that happen in the office that kind of missing right now, you know, these creative processes that could not be that much scheduled, etc. But, you know, that's how it is. We need to adapt, and there will be good and bad things happening out of it. In terms of the fintech sector, maybe Valeri can say more about this, but obviously, with the whole market being closed, we see a lot of, you know, decrease in transactional volume. Cards obviously are not that much used because of the fact that the markets are locked down. Not now, little by little they're opening, but obviously for the last 6-7 weeks, things weren't like that. In our particular case, because we serve retailers are the most affected market segment, which again will be on one side a good thing and on another bad thing. On the bad thing, obviously, revenues, a lot of businesses will go out of business. There are a lot of these talks around, you know, loans from government, how these businesses can stay in business. And yeah, the market for sure will see a lot of these businesses going bust. But on the other hand, we see a lot of, you know, speed to digitalization because many of these businesses are not too sure, even if the market reopens, what's going to happen in terms of their clientele, because obviously people are a bit skeptic about going back to restaurants, whether the coronavirus will be cured by then, will people gather in groups, etc. So would they reach the same level of revenues? And for that, they need all the online and digital tools to help it. So these are things that kind of we observe. With the market being in lockdown, we're now introducing a new service that I mentioned before, where we kind of want to help retail businesses crowdfund from their customers, get revenue now, and bring the revenue back, basically bring some rewards back to the customer once the market reopens, which will help them with the liquidity, which is the biggest problem right now. We'll see how that thing performs, but generally, we are positive. We think that many shifts will happen in the market, especially in the retail market. But there will be a lot of businesses going bust as well. So things are still to unfold in our view.
Yeah, right. So, well, basically, when it comes to moving the operations like remotely, I can say that we are on the lucky side of being able to do this very fast and not really feel that. But when it comes to the customers of the fintech companies, then of course it depends on their businesses. Valeri, finally on this topic of how Paynetics and the companies from the group are affected both in terms of operations and also in terms of business, maybe you can share something here. Oh, I don't hear you again.
No.
No, we lost you again. It was perfect before.
Okay.
Okay, Valeri, we will continue with the next question, and once you reconnect, we will go back to this one. if that's okay. Okay. Now, my next questions are a little bit more specific to each of your businesses and what you actually do and what your observations are for the specific markets that you serve. So again, I would like to start with the lady on this call. Vesi, you're responsible for an completely like full stack corporate innovation program that involves so many different stakeholders.
Right. Yes.
From like, yeah, so the startups, they're clear, maybe they're more flexible, but then there is Visa, then there are the banks, so many different parties take part. How is it to run this program completely online, and how is it to transfer all of the different formats that you have in the program?
Honestly,
maybe you can
I
share.
would say that it's much easier for us because, as you mentioned, we involved a lot of stakeholders in our project. They're coming from various industries, they're with different mindset, and they're with different countries as well. So when you operate in a kind of environment where everyone is on one mode, it's much easier because everyone is able to jump right on a meeting or on a call. There is a problem with the sound because there is an echo that I can hear right now, and I don't know why it happens like that.
Okay. Now I think it was because. Okay. Go on.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm hearing myself
No,
double.
it's
Anyway, I will try to not to think about that. It's not possible, obviously, but yeah, basically it's much easier. And what I see is that we are all much more productive because we have limited time to focus on something. We are all on the same page. We use a lot of digital tools that help us to organize our work better, and we do not lose time, or we do not procrastinating, let's say, the things that we do. I also asked our peers in other markets to share some experiences with their programs in Greece and Turkey, and this is what they shared as well, that they feel that they operate in much more efficient manner right now. But also there are some negative aspects, and the worst of them is the networking side.
Okay. We lost Vesi.
And Ivo as well.
Yeah, and Ivo as well. Okay, this platform doesn't like us
But
at all.
doesn't matter. Hey, thumbs up to the platform. They're just raising 5 million, and I'm pretty sure that's the first.
Can you hear me now? Maybe while they're away, I can. Okay,
yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, please jump in.
On what's changed, and this is very important thing. One thing is on personnel. First, it became much easier to hire people. Actually, it was extremely difficult to get good talent. Now is a good time to get good talent, and if you have a vision and if you know what you're doing, people are going to come, and they're good people. At the same time, with these methods, you actually see who's working and who's not working. So this crisis is actually a catalyst for improving performance throughout the whole organization. And this shouldn't be taken lightly, it should be acted on. Now, the second thing is that the kind of business that Paynetics and the group are in, we are actually in the digital business and digital payments, e-commerce as well. So we are with the wave, and this is pretty good for us. Now, this though has two effects. One effect is on existing business, and existing business with existing partners whom we are working with for some time now. This business is actually ramping up because people are at home, people on their phones, on their computers, so they are buying online. So business is picking up there. Now, at the same time, a very crucial component of growth is B2B deals for us. And it's B2B deals who bring us the volumes that we need, because we are working with aggregators. We're not working with direct merchants. So doing some of those bigger B2B deals is more difficult, because these kind of deals are done in the traditional world. So you need to meet people, you need to negotiate with them. You need to build trust. And this is not so easy over the phone, even with when all the communication is working properly. It's tough. Face-to-face meetings are much better. So I'm looking forward to those coming back. As a whole, I think this is actually having a positive effect on our business. Of course, the business plans, they would be delayed for some time, but what happened in the last 2 months actually would have happened in 2 or 3 years if we worked in the normal way.
Mm-hmm. And can you maybe share, I don't know if you have the data, but that I think that's very interesting. Ivo Vasilev already mentioned about a drop in card transactions. However, I have read in different sources that like contactless payments are picking up tremendously because of the no touching and everything. So maybe you also have some data there.
There's clearly a drop in the physical POS transactions. Now, at the same time, in e-commerce, there's very big increase. Now, when we talk to contactless transactions, which are physical POS transactions, those are actually increasing very, very much as well. And what the card schemes did, MasterCard and Visa, what they did is they increased the limits on contactless transactions. So this actually boosted things a lot. Now, with our product POS, which is a software POS terminal, we see huge interest from banks and partners who want to take it and introduce it to their clients, because this is with their devices. This is, you tap with your card or with your phone, and it's in essence, it's a contactless transaction. So the future is coming. And we were seeing, for example, for the United States, our plan was to go to the United States maybe 3 or 4 years from now. And we are now in discussions for the United States, because there are some visionary people who see that actually a lot of transactions are happening in the US. They are one of the biggest countries in terms of e-wallets. So things, this whole thing is a catalyst to everything becoming more digital.
Yeah, that's also very interesting input. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Vesi. I will go back to you. As I was saying afterwards, so the platform is trying to test on us all of the defects that can happen. So
yes, I don't
please
know,
continue.
You lost me exactly, but what I was sharing is that yes, it runs smoothly in virtual environment, but what we are missing a lot is the networking side and the community part, because for these kind of programs and initiatives, it's crucial to have proper networking tools and formats in order to be able to help the community to grow as a whole. So here I would agree with Valeri that this can't happen over the phone. And yes, the physical contact is something which is really important. I don't know how this side will look in 5 months, let's say. What will be the next type of events and conferences? The fact that we are attending such now, and they also have a expo zone, this virtual expo zone, is something that scares me a lot because I don't want to lose this opportunity to interact with real people and to see and to talk and to experience technologies. So yeah, I don't know, but I would here also agree with Valeri that this kind of environment spurs a great dynamic in the overall digitalization, and the fintechs that survive now will probably become the market leaders of tomorrow. So yeah, there are a lot of positives, according to me.
Yeah, well, thank you, Vaisi. I also hope that sooner rather than later we will be able to meet in person, because that's something that I also don't think that can be replaced. Now, well, I have a question for Ivo Vasilev. So, Ivo, you were mentioning already a few times about a new product, and you already sent it to me last week, and it looks very exciting. And I think this is a great example of how you just think about the current situation to turn it into an opportunity and to basically make the best out of it instead of just waiting for it to pass. So please share with us about this new product, and also how what led you to it and how you decided to create it.
Thanks, Gary, for the opportunity. Yes, for our case, it was very obvious, like our market is in lockdown. So if we want to do anything about it, we needed to either wait, which also is probably a good opportunity for us, because at the end of the day, our product, as Valeri mentioned, Vesi mentioned, digitalization will speed up 10x. Things that can happen for, whatever, 2-3 years, probably now will be shrinked into one. And any business of any industry will become more and more digital, look for tools to help their revenues, look for tools for their future predictability of revenues, forecastability, etc. And we're doing loyalty. We are basically allowing retailers to understand how customers spend based on the actual transactions of their customers. And that can really help them, once the market reopens, to kind of, forecast revenue, understand which are the customers that provide more value and focus on them, etc. But this, nobody knows when. It could be in 2 months. In the UK, Boris Johnson is kind of thinking of September. Here we see that businesses are open. Yesterday I was in a restaurant. Maybe for the echo, somebody needs to shut their microphone. Yeah. Anyways, I'll continue.
Maybe let's try everyone who's not speaking to mute their mics.
Does it work now? Yeah, that's better. So yeah, we were like, as I said, yesterday I was in the restaurant in Bulgaria, so Bulgaria probably will open up much faster than the other markets. But like UK, if the next 3 months for the UK market, the retail is not open, this is huge backbone of the economy. And basically, first, a lot of people will lose their job. There are a lot of these furloughs already, which is effectively losing the job, even though in the future you might come back, but this is no guarantees. All the retailers basically are now closing locations, seeing ways what to do. There are like new schemes to basically, not pay for rent, these kind of things. Like there are so many things happening right now, but we were thinking the biggest problem at the end of the day is liquidity. Would they make revenue? So we said, okay, can retailers sell to their customers right now? So we actually, our platform that we built, a new platform allowing them to do something like crowdfunding, sell their products to their customer right now. Customers can contribute between 10 to 200 pounds to businesses they love, and then they can get that money back in the future while they make transactions. We kind of thought of a lot of other things, like things with gift cards or similar product like that. How they work is that, you give the business whatever, 100 pounds, and when the market reopens, you basically go there and eat for free if it's a restaurant, which delays the problem for that business, because once they have an influx of many customers that come at some point but eat for free and don't generate revenue, that's a problem. So we said, okay, if these customers come back, they need to kind of gradually pay back to them with a benefit, of course. If you put 100 pounds, you can get 110 back, but gradually through your transactions. So that can actually lock customer for a longer period of time, create some sort of loyalty, create this forecastability of revenue, etc. And the market can potentially, become stronger out of it. This is a product we'll test right now. We don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there are a lot of loans that these businesses are taking. So we'll see how it goes. But we were just thinking of solutions that, one thing is these subsidies that the governments are giving, which are sort of delaying the problem. Another thing is to ensure that there is transaction between customers and businesses, because this crisis is not really crisis like 2008, where the market went down because it lost value. It's more of a liquidity crisis. Transactions are not happening between businesses and customers. While at the same time, many industries are not affected at all. I have friends in London in private equity, etc. They're working their asses off. They're working even more. They have more money that they know what to do with because they don't go to their, Alps ski trips, etc. So, maybe this can create these sort of new business models where, customers can support their favorite businesses, get more value in the future, etc. So we see a lot of things like that, and we want to be part of that market. So I'll tell you more in the few months how it goes.
Great. Yeah, will be very interesting to know how this goes. Ivo from iuvo. So you're you can hear me, right? Because you were. So you were telling us before that about the emotional reaction of the investors and how those sort of investments are one of the first things that get affected. So I have sort of two follow-on questions for you. One of them is, what did you do, and have you thought about different ways to combat that? So basically to reassure your investors on the platform that they are safe, and also like what is the marketing that you're doing in this current situation, as well as also going back to the other thing that you say, so you have customers from so many different countries. Can you summarize some sort of differences in their behavior? Do you see different reactions to the situations between markets?
Do you hear me now as good as before? Okay, that's good news. To be honest, it's not. It really doesn't rely on. It doesn't depend on marketing right now. It depends on how you have set up your processes for the whole of your existence, pretty much. We're as a peer-to-peer lending platform. We are building together with all other competitors on the market. We're building a new asset class, pretty much, which at some point needs to be tested by a downturn such as this one. So at this point, as people like to say, when the tide actually withdraws, you're gonna see who's been swimming naked. And at this point, we are actually counting on the processes that we have set up years ago and the practices that we've implemented within our business. To show fundamentally to our clients that the risk assessment has been correct with us and that the asset class is stable. So it's not up to marketing that much as it is up to actual performance. And right now we are trying to pretty much communicate this to our clients, trying to be as transparent as possible. Trying to show what is behind the assets that we are selling on the marketplace, and letting them know in details how these assets are performing. As you know, we are selling a really broad range of loans on our marketplace. Our lenders are financing businesses, they're financing private individuals. The different loans are spread within different segments, and all of these segments actually perform differently depending on the jurisdiction that they're in. And having this broad portfolio means that we have a lot of work into communicating what is going on within all of these asset classes and how they are performing within this crisis. So I would say that this is the point where we wouldn't be seeing tremendous growth in the next probably 6 months, but we'll be expecting to earn the trust of the investors with the performance that this asset class shows within this tough environment. And to your next question, how does reaction and behavior differ from market to market? There are some contrasts between markets where investing comes more natural, let's say like Germany or the UK or the Nordic countries, where reaction has not been that detrimental, to be honest. While on the other side, we can put on southern markets, which includes Bulgaria as well, where people are just stepping into actually investing and into looking at different return vehicles, different from a bank deposits or from buying an apartment in some neighborhood in Sofia. So their reaction has definitely been more on the emotional side. However, the good signs are in the past 2 weeks that we're seeing stabilization within all markets, and we're starting to see actually investments coming back within all of the jurisdictions. This includes Bulgaria as well, which is one of the focus of this discussion right now. So I would say that people are gaining experience within this market, and after this crisis, as I said, I'm on the optimistic side that recovery will be at least in our branch and in our field. Recovery will be quite fast, as we saw also on the stock markets all around the world.
Right. Thank you, Ivo, for that. Now I hear myself double. Maybe we can mute. Okay, now it's better. Thanks. So my next question is for Valeri. Valeri, you raised significant amount of money for the 3 companies from the Paynetics group right in the outburst of the crisis. So of course this was something that was prepared before that, but still with some amazing success. So my question for you is, what are your immediate priorities after the fundraising, and how have they changed given the current situation? So have you changed something in your strategy for the companies, or you're looking in the longer term when all of this is going to be behind us? And we can hear you again. Maybe you can unmute yourself. No.
I think the reason are the headphones, because the system recognizes the headphones as the microphone. So if you remove them and speak from the phone, I think it will work.
No. Okay, Valeri, I'll come back to you once you're, just give me a sign when you're back on, and we will cover this question. All right, so I have one general question for all of you, actually 2. I hope we will be able to cover them before the end of the session. So I will start with the first of them. And it is one of my favorite questions. And I think it's also very important to bring it up now, given the current situation. So the question is, what can we do now to strengthen even more Bulgaria's position as a fintech hub in the region? So what can we do separately and as well as community and as a sector to strengthen our position? And maybe Ivo Vasilev, I know that you have a very strong position on this topic. Maybe you can start.
Yeah, thanks. I really liked some of you mentioned that I think Vesi was that now the companies that will survive will be the strongest and the leaders. There will be a lot of consolidation. Some of our competitors probably will die. We won't. We'll see. But generally, like, there is a lot of pressure on many market players, especially in payments, especially in fintech, where margins are very low. We in Bulgaria have the advantage of having much more lower capex, because obviously talent pool, we acquire talent at much, say, UK. We operate slightly more efficiently because of, not that much access to funding as these guys have there, where, the markets in the UK right now, especially in the UK market, I'm speaking mostly there because our business is focused on the UK, but we see that across Europe. Now investors, although that they say that they're open for business, you can see that the deal flow is becoming, basically the done deals are going down. A lot of these companies are restructuring. We already see many of these players in the market sort of restructure, you renegotiate prices, these kind of things, which is a lot of pressure for those players. And this opens a lot of opportunity for players in markets which weren't that well positioned, like players in Bulgaria, to one, hire talent, two, over survive their competitors, as I said, and basically three, provide models which are most cost effective. And I see that these things can happen right now. And I believe that any company that starts from Bulgaria, having a development team in Bulgaria, competing into the other markets, which is Germany, UK, rest of Europe, even the US, I guess, we have that advantage. We just have like lower operational costs. That's one for sure. We have the chance to hire talent, which wasn't accessible before, because now we are trying to hire a talent from a company that we know that goes bankrupt. I won't say the name, and we actually work with that person, and we actually want to hire them. And they used to work in a company which was 10x more capitalized than us. So, all these kind of things will play in the market, and this will go towards this consolidation of the strongest guys surviving. And we hope that will be many Bulgarian companies. We hope that will be us. Obviously, we have a lot of problems. Don't get us too excited, but generally, like these dynamics will play in the market, and I believe that Bulgarian companies can get stronger out of it. We'll see, but I'm also on the positive side, especially for Bulgaria, especially for the fintech. So yeah, we'll see.
Thank you, Ivo. Valeri, just for you, I went straight to our next question, which is how to use the current situation to strengthen even more Bulgaria's position as a fintech hub in the region, and what we can do separately within the companies, and what we can do as community to do that. So I will ask you to follow on the previous question about the fundraising, and then also give us your 2 cents on what we can do to make Bulgarian fintech sector even better.
All right. Now, on the first question, I think what we are facing, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I think what we are facing is is a new trend. So we are seeing now the beginning of the end of free services. You see all those fintechs, they were providing free services, investors were believing in those, and they wanted to pay capital in order for the clients to benefit free services. I think this is finishing, and you'll see what's happening with Revolut and how some of the top people from the management team left, and what kind of pressure they have in order to go to break even. Mm-hmm. I think investors are going to push their investee companies to do that much more in this crisis. And a lot of business models that are based on just giving away stuff are not going to continue anymore. So this is a major things that are happening. Another major thing that's happening is, I heard the word recovery. Actually, we haven't been in a trouble yet. We have been in an unexpected vacation for 2 months. What is actually happening in France, Italy, and other countries like that in Europe is that they take 2 weeks or maybe the whole of August, and nobody's working. But everybody knows that next August, nobody's working. What happened now is that the whole world stopped for 2 months, and it was an.
Valeri, we lost you again. Okay, no, we don't hear you. Okay, we already tried this exercise, so I'm moving to the next one, and I will give you the word afterwards. And apologies to the entire audience, but as I said, technology doesn't always work. So Ivo from iuvo, what do you think? What we can do to strengthen our position?
So I can't agree more with Ivo from fromReloyalty. That's actually our models in Bulgaria. The business models are operating many times more effectively than our counterparts in Central and Western Europe, especially in terms of obviously cost efficiency, but also in terms of personnel cost. We are seeing competitors with many times more, fat headcounts. I mean, tens of times more fat headcount with just a fraction of better trade results than some players within our ecosystem. So this is an advantage that must be definitely promoted whenever and wherever we can. Within the months and years to come. That's why as I said, I'm more optimistic about the survival of business models that are hosted from here. But something that I would like to point out is that we would need to actually direct also funding to ourselves within these coming months and years. We've seen even local VCs or angel investors always turning their heads first to business models that are based or at least established in other markets that just sound, in marketing terms, sound more modern. Jurisdictions such as London, Berlin, Amsterdam, we're seeing funding flowing to them, and also from local investors. And in many cases, they're just acquiring parts of companies that were already denied by the real big players over there. So this is a resource that should be definitely directed at the companies that show efficiency in this moment of low liquidity and of drops in demand all over the board, because I would say that in the longer term, this business practices and this experience that is acquired right now will turn into a competitive advantage. So you shouldn't always look for a competitive advantage, something that is clear-cut, offering more than the competition, but definitely doing things more efficiently will be a really strong competitive advantage from now on. I would guess that this is also echoed by what Valeri tried to say, that offering free stuff at the expense of your investors and at the expense of the last round that you just closed with 10 or 100 million. This shouldn't be the norm anymore.
Can't hear you, Valeri. Now it's your turn.
Okay, I'm on mute. No, I'm on mute. So
okay,
I'm back. It's fine. So Vesi, I was asking what can you add to that?
Well, basically, I prefer to think of Bulgaria as a fintech destination, not in its current state, but in other perspective, and how we could nurture this environment further. And what I think is that's the right moment now to invest more in education and talent, because this is crucial in order to be able to sustain our positions and to build further on, to make sure that we have the right local talent that could support this growth and that would attract new players, new stakeholders, investments, whatever. And recently, I wrote something that the last innovation in education was basically the Montessori approach, which was introduced in and dates back in 1960, I think. So since then, nothing has changed dramatically. And it's a kind of a alert that all of us have to rethink our educational models and how we prepare the talent for tomorrow in building such things like fintech and not only fintech solutions, because the purpose of fintech and all the tech companies is one, and it will be always the one to serve better the people and their needs. And if we can't grow in the youngsters things such as empathy, such as more human centricity, this can't be done. And our education is basically somehow focused on to serve more the industrial revolution type of thinking, where I could and I should remember some stuff rather than thinking how to improve it and how to make them workable for the new reality. So from my perspective, yes, all of these things that Ivo's mentioned together with Valeri are really relevant, but they are addressing somehow the current state of the fintech situation. And something in addition to that is that we shouldn't be so shy. I would say we do not have the thinking as a nation and as people to promote our strong parts, to talk about our strongest parts, and to raise awareness around what we do. So this is something really important, because if you have such a valuable and tangible propositions in terms of fintech that are coming from the local market, and there aren't any kind of local stakeholders using them, like governments or corporates or whatever, it doesn't make sense somehow to go and to sell them outside of your country. You need to integrate all of these corporate governments and merchants, retailers, whatever, to work better for this fintech community and for these fintech destinations. And this is why I believe that we should all build on further, and everyone to contribute to this community with his assets and capabilities, either being the corporates, the startups, the investors, or the governments.
Thank you, Vesi. Now, guys, we are a little bit ahead of time. So, Valeri, I'm very sorry that you are dropping out constantly. I'll give you the word now, and I'll ask you to tell us what you think on the previous topics, as well as the last question, which is like how to strengthen Bulgaria's position. And afterwards, I guess we'll have to slowly close. So Valeri, I hope your mic works now.
I hope so too. So I just to finish off on the last thing that I was saying about the unexpected vacation. I think the dip is yet to come, and everybody should be prepared for that. And I think it's going to be much longer than it is now. If it isn't, even better, but we need to be prepared. So we are very bullish, and we are attacking the market on all fronts, from Paynetics side of things, from FOSS and from FIRE as well. We signed some very good B2B deals in Bulgaria, and we are rolling a B2B2C product on the market of financial services. This is the deal that we did with the two major telcos, plus the deal that we did with one of the bank, with Bulgarian American Credit Bank. And as Vesi is saying, later on, we are going to do this in other countries. So we are very bullish. We want to attract the best talent and to be best equipped to take a future hit of the crisis if there is one coming. Now, on Bulgaria as a FinTech Cup, and how to improve things, how to make them work. Actually, everything should be directed at sustainability. Things should be actually working. There should be traction and models that can be replicated abroad, which eventually make money. It's good for those businesses to make money now, to be profitable. But even if they are not, and if they have good traction, they are going to be able to proliferate in other countries. Now, as association, what we are doing and what we want to intensify is to increase the relationship with other fintech associations around the world, and we are having some very deep discussions. And at the same time, we encourage Bulgarian companies, Bulgarian fintech startups to actually seek partnerships abroad, because strength can come from partnerships. So this is my tip to everybody who wants to withstand the times that come.
All right. Thank you very much, Valeri, and thank you, O. Now I have one really last question, and I would ask each one of you to answer just one sentence, and then we close it off. So my question is, what is your key takeaway from the current situation? If there is one thing that you would that you like right now, and or you learned from the current situation, if there is one thing that 15 years from now in the next crisis you will be teaching the next generation of entrepreneurs, what is it? So Vesi, maybe you have an idea.
It's me. Okay. For me personally, and my key takeaway is that this is a positive thing that happens, because yes, it's challenging, but we are in a safe environment. I would say there are no wars or, this type of things that would affect the people in general. So I see a lot of good things happening, and I rather think of in this direction, because this is how we could, when you operate under stress and in limited time frame, you're much more productive, much more focused, and the outcomes are much better. So I think that for all of us, it's a great opportunity, and yeah, that's my key takeaway.
Thank you, Vesi. Ivo Ivanov.
What positive?
Now. Okay.
Or what,
now we hear you.
What did we learn from all of this?
Okay, what you have learned?
Because it's a bit early to say. Definitely, I would say that for us as a business, what we've learned is that our more conservative approach has been the proper one, and when we are deciding between growth at all cost and substantiated growth, the choice for the second one is the right one. So this is what we've learned, and I would say that our business definitely will be and will be much more stable after we have validated this notion from now on.
Thank you, Ivo. Valeri, what are your key takeaways?
Now, my personal takeaway is that when you face something scary, first you show who you are, and then you summon all your forces in order to go through it on the winning side. And I think this is what we should be doing.
Great, thank you. And Ivo Vasilev?
I was looking in the back to find a book, and I found it. It's the book by Andy Grove, Only the Paranoid Survive. Basically, he says all these kind of technological changes and shift in the future, when Intel, he was part of Intel, basically managed to leverage, but managed to also foresee. And this is one of those events, like, the 2008 financial crisis. This is the 2020 government crisis, whatever you call it. But there will be a lot of processes which will be accelerated, and you need to ride the wave. If there is like a new business model that you can launch right now because of the new market dynamics, do it. This could be a great opportunity. If the market becomes more digital, this could be a new great distribution opportunity. And all these things will you need to find a way to leverage and become stronger out of whatever the life brings you, like whatever lemonade the life serves you, like whatever lemons make the lemonade. So, and I really liked what Ivo from iuvo said, that we can see who won't make it. Basically, now when all the easy rounds go down, we'll see the efficiency of business models. Many companies will get rid of the market, and this is an opportunity for the true innovators, the true pioneers in spaces to create something good. And now the whole bullshit will disappear, I guess. So we can leverage that, and we as community become much stronger out of it. So long live and prosper, as we say.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you all. It was a great pleasure to have you here. And I think it was a really interesting discussion and covered quite a lot of topics. So thank you all for joining me. And I hope to see you all soon in person.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and good luck.
Hope so
And
too. Thanks for having us.
Sum ups to trending
You.
topics, because even though the technology wasn't working, at the end of the day, this experiment a new business model on the internet, right? Cool.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Bye.